How do you feel like the first preseason game went as far as the communication aspect?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty smooth from the communication standpoint. I really felt like there was a great job between the coaches, kind of back and forth, and telling me what they saw, and the communication between me and Sean, and in terms of those different situations that come up, whether it's a fourth down situation, a 2-minute situation, was incredibly smooth. So, really happy with that aspect of things.
How helpful is that to have a couple opportunities to get in a 2-minute situation, especially in preseason when you're evaluating the roster right now?
I think it's always helpful. Yeah, anytime you get in that in a preseason situation, one to yeah, exactly, evaluate your roster, and two for me and just calling it and those different situations, because so many different things come up in the course of those deals that you really can't always predict. So it's and then every week's going to change based off the defense. So it's not like you're always calling the exact same thing. It's going to be one thing one week, another thing the next week. So, to constantly have to be kind of adjusting your thought process to, one, the team you're playing, two, the situation, and three, kind of the flow of the game and what they're doing is always great to kind of experience that before the regular season kicks off.
You were upstairs for the blue and red practice, also for this preseason game last week. How has it felt up there, knowing you've spent a majority of your time on the sidelines? It's a much different atmosphere. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a different atmosphere. The vision and being able to see is obviously one thing, and then being able to kind of spread out and call it and everything. So there's definitely some pros to it. Obviously the cons to it is not being able to be down there with the guys, and that communication. So the trust of the coaches on the sideline to deliver kind of the feel of the guys, the message that guys have. What they're seeing on the field, is critical. So that communication is huge when you're up in the box.
Flip it this week?
We haven't decided. We haven't decided on it yet. So the plan was to, but we'll see. I don't. Still kind of up in the air, to be perfectly honest.
Do you feel you've learned what you might need to learn about what it is to
Yes.
be upstairs at this point? Or?
Yeah, I feel like I got a really good feel of calling it from up there, and what it's like after, like you said, after basically 2 times doing it. So, and then I've kind of got a little bit of a feel just from calling it in practice situations, in our call-up periods and stuff from down on the field. So, kind of, we're still so into training camp mode right now of next practice, and then obviously kind of getting ready for the next preseason game, that haven't gotten to that step yet of deciding what to do in this game, to be up or down. But I feel like I've got a pretty good feel for both right now.
I think I remember you saying when you first spoke to you, it's easy to call plays when things are going well. It's when things kind of hit a wall that it becomes challenging. In that vein, you always want to be going well, but was there some benefit to maybe that middle portion late in the first half, when things kind of slow down with the offense, to help you learn how to adjust play calls?
Yeah, I think anytime you're in just different situations as a play caller, it's helpful. So I thought that was good for us. How you battle through things, how you adjust as a play caller, and to kind of get things going. And we talk about all the time that no matter what it is through the course of a season, through the course of the game, there's going to be highs and lows. It's just the key is staying steady and keep battling to get through it. And I thought the guys did a heck of a job of that.
What were your impressions of Matt and Case's day on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were some good things, and there were some things to improve on. So, I thought both had some really high marks, and both had some things we looked at and said, well, we could get better here. So I thought I'm really happy with kind of the steps that both these guys are taking, and with the realization that it's preseason 1, and there's still time to get better, and still time to really kind of take that next step. And as we go these next practices, we're still in training camp competitive type modes, where we're going against our defense, and it's not a carded kind of simulated look. So that evaluation process is still going for everybody on this roster, and I think that's the great part about our roster and how we do things, is the competition is great because of the depth that's been created.
Can you kind of outline where you are in? Are installs pretty much done? Are we just refining now for the regular season, or is there still some install left to finish up here?
I think there's still a couple things. I think we've got the bulk of the bulk of our offense in. There's still little things that, hey, you see something, you might want to tweak it or you might want to add it or based off of something you're doing. So there's always that kind of, whether it's training camp or in season, there's always those types of things. And I think it's good for the players to, one, you're refining what you're doing, but also, hey, throw something new at them, see how they adjust to it, see what they can handle, and go out and do it just like you would during a season.
That first drive was really good until you got kind of down
Yeah.
the goal line. How much of that is scripted, and where are you on kind of free scripts going into a game, and does it change preseason to regular season?
Yeah, I don't think it changes preseason or regular season. I think you go in and I had a good idea of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to call as early calls. To me, the biggest factor of whether it's the first drive or the 10th drive of, hey, get the play in nice and quick to them so they got plenty of time. We're not breaking the huddle at 10 seconds rushing the line, and I think we did a good job of that in that first drive. The tempo was really good. The in and out of the huddle was really good. Substitutions were really good. So I felt great about just kind of where we were, and then obviously, we just want to be able to finish that off in the end.
Those late play calls, getting those in, is that a little PTSD from being a quarterback?
No doubt. And, it's one of those things where you tell yourself, hey, you've got that little mic to the quarterback, but you never want to say, hey, think about this here, look for this here, because then it's like that's the last thing they hear and they get locked onto that, and that's what they want to do. So I got a lot of faith in all three of our quarterbacks in terms of they prepared, they studied their tail off, and you want to be able to trust them to go out and react to what they see and not predetermine based off of what you told them last.
Are we almost like, is offense evolved almost like positionless football these days where tight ends can be wide receivers and running backs can be wide receivers? It's not about the position, but it's just about the matchups?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of merit to that. I think it depends on a lot, too, the opponent you're playing. It might be 1 week you want guys, in different spots. Might be 1 week you want guys in a more traditional lineup, So I think that's the fun part of offensive football is trying to figure out how to attack each defense individually and where to create those matchups and how to best you feel like attack a defense, whether, especially in the NFL when you're playing divisional teams twice a year, and like last year, potentially 3 times in a year, where you've got to be able to do some of those different things.
On that note, Reggie Gilliam, obviously you guys rewarded him with a lot of faith because of the contract extension. Where does he fit into all that? What can he do for you?
Yeah, I think Reggie's definitely a great piece for us. Obviously, he's a huge special teams contributor for us, and on offense, his role just keeps kind of growing since day one he's been here, and he's earned that that opportunity to kind of continue to grow in what he's doing. So, he's a great fullback for us. We love the physicality that he brings and the just the edge that he brings, and he gives tremendous effort and just extremely instinctive, intelligent player at the fullback position, and that gives you some of those different things you can do with him.
And what was the reasoning to have O.J. Howard play so deep into the first preseason game?
I think that's just kind of the way the games go. Sometimes I think you want to give guys as many opportunities as possible. We were in positions where we had to throw the ball a little bit more. So even though the ball might not have gone OJ's way based off the read and based off the progression and what the defense was doing, you still got to see him out there, running routes and doing his job. So I think that was great for us to have OJ out there in those situations to really kind of show us the different routes and the different things that he could do as a receiving type guy.
From your perspective, this is kind of a bigger picture question, but what do you think makes Stephon such a good receiver? How do you kind of want to use him this year and maybe take advantage of him?
Well, one, I think just his competitiveness, the mental side of things. I think I love the fact he's kind of got that little, chip on his shoulder a little bit. He's so competitive. He wants to win every rep. In practice, he's not that receiver that takes one-on-one rep and then kind of goes off in the back and lets the younger guys get the rest. He wants those reps, and I just love that, and I respect that. He's a competitor, and then obviously the physical traits of what he can do, of his strength, speed, and just natural instincts and feel for the game is what makes him an extremely talented and effective receiver for us.
Khalil, he seemed, obviously a rookie, but he seemed really smooth at points. What did you guys see from him, Sally?
I think we really kind of saw those types of things. We felt like that he came out and he competed, and he really kind of put his best foot forward in terms of just. And I thought a lot of guys for a first preseason game, but as a rookie wide receiver in this offense, very few mental errors, very few busted routes. I don't think he had any. Like, he was on top of his stuff. He was in the right spots, doing the right things, whether it was press man coverage, zone coverage, whatever it was. So we were really excited for that first step and looking forward to continuing to progress with him.
Where do you think OJ is in terms of grasping the playbook? Sorry.
No,
Where do
my
you
fault.
think OJ is in terms of grasping the playbook, being a new guy coming in and learning the system?
Again, I think in this system, it's challenging for new guys to come in and learn everything. I mean, it's expansive because it's year, 4 or 5 in the system now, So it's not like they're coming in year 1 where you got to start at the, build that foundation and work up, They're hitting the ground running, and I think OJ's done a great job. Again, I don't think he had any, mental errors in the game, and it wasn't from a lack of snaps.
On the other side, how much of an advantage does that give a guy like Thomas Sweet in your basically throughout the entire time?
No, yeah, I think obviously, those guys have kind of seen the transformation of the offense, and that development kind of really, helps those guys who have been here. But I think all the guys, whether they're new guys or guys who have been here, have really done a great job adapting to kind of what we're doing and understanding what we're trying to do, and really have done a great job from the mental side of things.
Ken, so take me through the operation. If you're up in the booth, Josh comes off the sidelines, does he go to Joe first to talk about things? And if you're on the sidelines, does he go to you first, or does he still go to Joe because you're dealing with what's coming up next?
Yeah, well, if I'm on the sideline, Joe will be up in the box. So one of us will be at one or the other, would be the plan. So, yeah, if I'm up in the box, then his communication either goes through Joe to me, or I've got no problem with any of those guys, but Josh especially, obviously hopping on the phone to talk or hopping on the headset to talk. I think that communication is critical, whether it's Josh or Steph seeing something, Gabe seeing something, Dawson seeing something. I've got no problem. The more communication, the more informed I feel like I can be to make that next call. Did you have a...
Is there a position group where you find the competition most interesting right now?
Yeah, I really think it's just overall in general. And I think that's the benefit of, obviously we've kind of had some of those bang ups on the offensive line and some of those injuries and stuff. So it's forced some great competition there that you might not have expected, for those depth roles especially. But it's all over the field, whether it's a competition to be, a roster spot, or a competition for expended playing time, or a competition for the starting spot, whatever it may be. I think that's the benefit of how we do things here, and just the nature of what Brandon and Sean have been able to do with this roster.
We talked to Zack Moss on Sunday. He mentioned that an ankle injury last year kind of dragged into the season and kind of impacted him. He says he's healthy now. Have you noticed the difference in that, and has that made an impact for him in terms of his performance, that he is maybe back to 100% or as close to it as possible?
Yeah, I think you really kind of saw that in the last game. I think you kind of saw a little bit of the old Zach in terms of, one, the physicality. Like the first play of the game, he is hitting that thing downhill, lowering his shoulder, getting tough yards on a physical run, and then come back later in the game and he cuts one back and bounces out there, makes a guy miss and extends a run, that maybe he might not have been able to do last year. So I think you do see some of that stuff. It's exciting to see kind of the health factor coming back, and that whole room. It's been a lot of fun watching those guys compete and watching those guys grow into their roles.
Have you seen many 82-yard punts? Does that change at all your thinking in a game situation where you're like in deep and you go, well, I gotta get it out of here?
Well, I mean, obviously, you don't. Hopefully, you're not, from an offensive standpoint, asking a guy to punt at 82 yards too many times. It's like, otherwise you're up in the box punching yourself in the face. So no, but it's one of those things. It's obviously it's again just the competition on the roster. It's a lot of fun to see those guys compete and do what they do, and that was huge for us in a critical point of the game. To really kind of flip the field like he did. So. Offensively, we don't want to ask him to do that too many times. If we are doing that, hopefully it's pinning them back deep from a shorter field because we got out there a little bit. But it allows you to kind of be a little bit more aggressive at times when you want to be.
Knowing how competitive you've been described by your players,
Mm-hmm.
when you're upstairs, did you try hard to kind of almost feel like you had to compose yourself a little bit? It's an enclosed environment.
Mm-hmm.
The passion of the game isn't right in front of you where you can kind of be outwardly expressive. Were you controlling those emotions as best you could, or were you just freewheeling, and if you had to scream about something, you screamed about it?
I don't know where this all comes from, first of all. I feel like I'm pretty calm and composed no matter what, but no, apparently, gosh. No, but I think it's football. It's competitive. It's, if you don't have a competitive bone in your body, you're probably not lasting in this business too long. So I think guys understand that. Guys, whether they're on the headset, in the course of a game from me up in the box or whether I'm down the field. That's ball. That's all part of it. So, obviously there's times where, you get fired up, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and that's part of the game. And I don't think that should ever change. It's a game of passion. It's a game of physicality. It's a game of speed. It's a game of, all those things. The key is, okay, again, if you're fired up, hey, you got to be able to make that next call, So I think that's the important thing is the focus and staying focused.
Two more. Been with the team, but we haven't really gotten the opportunity to see him that much. The big catch in the second half,
Yeah.
and the plays that he made. What did you think of that, and how important is that for a guy like him?
Yeah, again, I think it's been great to see his development. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, from when he came in to where he is right now, he's grown so much as a receiver, and just the different things he can do. He's so smart and can do different things for you and move around and play different spots. So to really kind of go out and put it together on the field was fun to watch, and got a lot of faith in him, and I think he's really done a great job just putting his best foot forward. Because again, this offense, it's not something that you could just step into day one and just make an immediate type of impact all the time, and it takes time to kind of grow, especially from the receiver spot, from the different things we ask those guys to do.
Who are some of the veterans who you see helping you guys along the most with the playbook when you mentioned how much it is to take on at once?
I think that's what makes this team and offense, especially from my perspective, great, is we've got a lot of guys who do that. Whether it's Josh and his communication with the receivers or the running backs or the tight ends in terms of routes and different ways he sees things, I think that communication is critical. So those guys are on the same page. I think you really see it from like a guy like Gabe and Isaiah, McKenzie and Steph. I think those three guys all do a tremendous job with the young guys, whether it's pushing them to be better and those little kind of back and forth, or helping them with the playbook. I think it's that's a fun room to go sit into and just listen. Like if you ever just need a little minute, So it's a lot of fun in that room, and but those guys push each other to be better and help each other. I think a great collaborative effort in the running backs room. You see it everywhere. And then obviously in the offensive line room, I think we've got a great veteran kind of group there, and bringing in a guy like Roger with his type of experience is going to be just a huge advantage for us. So getting him back out more and more has been a lot of fun.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys.